Join us now for the Inside Swoop. The episode's just begun. There'll be chats of the girls with our captain who will dig up all the dirt on you just for fun. So let's find out what is in store. Embarrassing stories, jokes and more. We'll leave you laughing till your ribs are sore when you're hanging with the Inside Swoop. So sit back, go get loose with the Inside Swoop.
Gee whiz, do I have a treat for the listeners today. We have the one, the only Aish Mac in the house. Aish Mac, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. Good to have you on here finally. I feel like this has actually been a highly anticipated guest that we've had, Corm.
Yeah, certainly most anticipated by me because Aish is my favourite player. But yeah, we did have to do some convincing to bring Aish on. So just remember that she's here of her own goodwill and we'll just enjoy every minute that we've got her here.
Yes. I'll bite my tongue on different things today. But we do also have an old guest and not that exciting, and she sort of forced herself back on again this week. But Swanny, welcome to you as well, I guess.
Thanks. Thank you for having me back. It's a privilege to be here. Back on my own podcast. It feels like just being at home.
Yeah, and I mean, if you read a Wikipedia page, you'll see all about that podcast. Too good.
It's good.
But call me if you'll.
Yeah, so quickly, as we've been doing recently, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Whadjuk Noongar people. We, all of us, follow a long line of people who've had meaningful and light-hearted conversations on this land. We also pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Thank you, Paz.
Thank you. Now, Aish, is this your first podcast or have you been on a podcast before?
No, it's my first kind of lighthearted podcast. So yeah, I'm a bit nervous. I'm not too good at the comebacks and the smart remarks. So go easy on me. But I've done a little bit of media stuff, but it's been more the serious stuff and post game and all that. So yeah, go easy on me.
That was the most well-rounded answer that we've had on this podcast yet.
But also like a bit of a, it's like she gets to do stuff that if you're a good player, you do. Like there's post interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to deal with any of this, low-level comedic stuff,
That's not what I meant.
We'll let you handle that, Paz.
But we do have to give a special shout out to your lovely mum who'll be listening.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Margaret.
Yeah, she's my number one fan at home. She'd only be delighted to be out in Perth getting to know all you girls. So she'll definitely probably have a few retweets and reposts when this goes up. So yeah, shout out to Mags back in Ireland.
And
shout out to Mags.
And your mum would obviously be your biggest fan, but does she, do you get feedback after a game? Does she give you feedback about how you've played or what you've done?
Yeah, she's my biggest critic as well, and she watches like all the other games. So she's like, last year she was like, "Oh, why don't you just play like Brie Davy?" I was like, "I would if I could," but yeah, no, she knows a lot about it. To be fair,
played a few games of footy in her life.
Back in the day, she would have been sporty, but I suppose didn't have the same opportunities as we have now. But yeah, she's taken just a liking to my journey in Gaelic and AFL. So yeah, she stays up in the middle of the night to watch the games, and I have a few text messages afterwards of what I could improve on, but no, mostly it's well done and for like trying hard, I suppose.
Love that. And also love that Nick Liv is now, who's going to be our number one fan? Will it be Mags or will it be Nick Liv?
Yeah, it's going to be a real tight tussle.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. One to watch out for sure.
Too good. Alrighty. So we have a couple of questions for both of you to answer to start off with. And Corm, we'll also put in our opinion, of course.
Well,
of
guaranteed.
course. Gee whiz, what are we here for? But our first one, if you were to choose one Eagles women's player to win Squid Games, who do you think it'd be?
Well, this is a relevant question because this is the midfield at the moment, isn't it?
That's a good point. It is hectic in there recently.
It is the beating heart of the football team. Yeah, the midfield.
Well, I mean, the midfield like to think that it is. But it probably really isn't.
Certainly, if you gathered feedback from the mids, that's what they'd say.
Exactly.
Everyone else,
backs, not so much.
Eyes would roll.
Yeah, exactly. But who do you think, Swanny?
Maddie Collier.
Yeah, but I reckon she'd go too hard too early.
Savage. Yeah, true.
Hooks maybe. She seems to be like has a few lives.
She's
Are you thinking
too
that- yeah,
accident
she-
prone.
yeah.
She is
Oh,
the
but she does have a
cockroach.
lot of
She gets-
lives. Yeah.
She gets through it though.
She
Yeah.
survives it. She'd be bruised and battered. She'd be
Yeah.
just
hanging on by a thread
limping
at
to the end, but she'd get there.
But she'd finish, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bowen would be an interesting one, I reckon, as well, because I feel like that some of the bigger characters, might draw a bit of attention, whereas like Bowen probably would just wait back, let things unfold, and still be there
Silent
right at
assassin.
the end.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if I was there, I'd get killed the first night. I'd be running my mouth, and I'd be providing no value, and then I would be dead.
Well, as soon as they, skipped one meal on me, I'd pass out and be done.
When they say you get one egg, that's it.
That's done.
I actually have a dark horse. I reckon Evie Gooch.
Oh, Goochie.
She'd be good.
Yeah.
I was only saying today to Hammer, midfield coach, how smart Gooch actually is. Not many people know this, but
I
she's
actually heard you talking about this, yeah.
extremely intelligent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that might hold her.
She just doesn't give
hold
off
her
that
high
vibe,
in
does she?
Squid Games.
Just kidding, Gucci. Just kidding. But I actually was thinking maybe a Hilly.
Another assassin. Another assassin.
Even in the back line, it's sort of, she just pops up out of nowhere, and it's like either the spoil of the year, or like literally just intercept mark and just out of nowhere though. It amazes me. But I just think that she is quite an intelligent person, but like you said, quiet behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So easily would go under wraps and then just pop up at the end. All of a sudden, didn't realise that anyone else was left, and there's Hilly.
And it's always a good hair day for Hilly. That's probably another thing that stands out to me for Ashton Hill. Even after like winning 1,000 Squid Games and surviving to win the huge jackpot of cash, her hair would still look immaculate, which I think is just an impressive facet of somebody originally. Because
you're wearing a hat right now because your hair's dirty. So.
that shows you. That really shows you. Like, I've got levels to aspire to. I'm still a long way off.
Too good. All right, and we had the Interclub on Saturday. Sorry, get my days mixed up.
I'm used to doing your job for you.
Thanks, mate. We had the Interclub on Saturday. Who did you guys think did well from each line?
Oh, we had a few standout performers.
Yeah, I think there was, and
was a
people
pretty
had
good
their
game.
quarters.
Yeah.
In the midfield, it was definitely hard to play against Swanny and Bella. I thought the two worked well together. Forwards, Gilly was marking them first quarter especially. Yeah.
Yeah, she had those sticky hands, didn't she?
Yeah.
And the glove wasn't even on.
no glove.
No glove.
Yeah, sticky paws.
For the best, isn't it?
I think she had that grippo on though, and then when she went to drop the ball was like sticking
Stuck
to her
to her
hand a
hand.
bit.
So
The
she was
ball
kicking,
dropped.
so she was taking huge marks, but then kicking accidental torpedoes because it ends up as like an underhand drop.
How much did she put on? She hasn't really layered that on. Gee whiz. Hectic. But yeah, so mids, you would say Swanny, Bella sort of thing, Ashmack?
Just playing against them, I feel like they played well.
Yeah.
And then
I think we had like some solid work from a lot of little middies in there on Saturday, and it's tough because it's sort of dependent on who you're teamed up with as well.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
who works quite
Yeah.
well together.
Basically, whoever's team doesn't have Paz as the ruck, you usually
You're winning.
manage to
Killing it.
get on
Yeah,
top.
exactly. It's tough.
What about the backs? Ash, did anyone stand out for you?
there was a lot of good performances. I think Gooch as well, like she's good at like taking intercept marks, reading the game, and then kind of she's good to like roll and go as well when needed. But yeah, I don't really. What do you think?
Oh, this one.
Oh, Stubbsy.
I don't want to
actually.
say it surprised me. Yeah, I've kind of already said it now. But she was
edit
actually.
that out.
Yeah, no, she was great. I thought she was really strong. Super strong.
Very, and like even just her overhead marking was really good, but her read of the footy and things like
100%,
that.
yeah.
I think it's actually the role of just at times where she's able to, like sometimes she'll hand off a player to me sort of with setups and stuff. So she was able to do that, and then she can sort of play. I feel like she prefers that floating role where she can just read
Yeah.
the play and come through, which she plays really well. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's a bad thing, but I think that's a role that suits her.
Definitely. And I should clarify, I wasn't surprised that she played well, but she's obviously first year was pretty much a midfielder.
Yes.
And then in the last season started that transition into the back line, and I feel like the weekend was the first opportunity she's had to show us that she's actually landed on her feet, and she was really solid down there, which was cool.
Yeah, she's really put in the work. I think that's probably the most pleasing thing. From my perspective, the most pleasing thing is, you've seen her work down there and seen her train hard, and then, to put together a really solid performance, she'll, take a lot of confidence into the next couple of weeks, which is great.
I mean, she's almost worked as hard at a game as what she did on her physique for her wedding. So
the wedge shred. Gee whiz. Yeah, I mean, I don't think she could ever work that hard again, to be fair. I've never seen back muscles like that. But, it was hard to look at. No, it wasn't really. She looked beautiful. But she has worked really hard. I think it's perfect timing coming into our scratch match. Yeah. Because I think she'll play well with a bit of confidence behind her.
Yeah, and I think the best takeaway after a scratch match is obviously we got through with minimal injuries, so that's really good. And the second thing is I really start to get excited about how good is it going to be when we can play someone else that's not us, when every one of us, Ash, you just mentioned that you had to play against Swanny and Bluey. How good will it be when you get to play with them against somebody else?
And you're not thinking about hurting anyone. Like I
don't think I really have that thought, but I know what you mean.
Like if it's your own teammate, you're sort of just wrapping them up and like we're going hard, but we're not, like there's actually a little bit of care there. Like we care about each other. Whereas when you play another team, Freo, for example, on Tuesday, like there's not going to really be a lot of care there. It's just like we want to go in hard.
Absolutely.
I guess the only downside is for you, Swan, sort of when you often pull out of contests and don't go back with the flight, you can blame it on the fact that that's how teammates, but when it comes
I've got
to
no
real games,
excuses now. Yeah,
you got nothing. So that's the only downside for you. I mean, the rest of us will be fine, but just for you, it's going to be tough.
All right, that's enough about Swanny. Let's talk about Aish Mac. But Aish Mac, so this is your 4th season of AFLW football?
Yeah.
So you originally played in Melbourne in 18 and 19. Oh, no, 1920.
Yeah, drafted in 2018, but into the 19 season, yeah.
Yep. And what was that experience like?
To be honest, it was all like a whirlwind getting drafted. Cora Staunton, who Swanny would have played with in Giants, was the first ladies Gaelic footballer to get drafted, and she did quite well, and I suppose the men as well across the competition have transitioned well into the game. So I, to be honest, came out on a free holiday to Melbourne in 2018.
Classic.
It was for a trial, and it was actually the week leading up to the grand final that year. So the excitement around Melbourne was cool. Got to experience the parade and that, which was, my first insight into the AFL world, which is cool. Chatted to a few clubs that week, but didn't really expect much. But then, Western Bulldogs drafted me, so I was in bed at 2 a.m. just watching it on a Facebook Live or something like that, and they called out my name, so I ran into Mum and Dad, and I was like, I'm moving to Australia.
And what was Margaret's reaction?
They were delighted, but obviously when they're I'm the oldest, I have one younger sister, so I was obviously moving to the other side of the world, so they're a bit probably apprehensive, but they were delighted that I got the opportunity. So just getting the visa and moving out to Melbourne was all happened so quickly. It wasn't something on my radar 12 months previous to that, so I was delighted. But my first match sim, they kept stopping the game for ball ups, and I just goes to Paul Groves, our coach at the time. I was like, why'd you keep stopping the game? And he was like, oh God, we've so much to go through. He's like, I'll meet you for coffee, and I had a rule book there for me. I literally didn't know any of the structures, the rules or anything, so I think I've come a long way since then. But I'm still learning obviously, but really enjoying the experience.
Yeah, how good. That's so cool.
That's unreal.
I could just listen to her talk all day.
We've got a whole afternoon of that, so prepare yourself. You see next to Swanny now, but your first ever interaction with Emma Swanson, can you take us through that? Can you tell us the story? How did it happen? Paint the whole picture for us.
Yeah, so travelled over to Perth to play you guys. I was playing for Western Bulldogs at the time, so I think it was in Leaderville, the game. Probably 30-something degrees, 2 p.m. in the day, so it was fairly hot for me. But was getting fairly pumped in the midfield for the day by Swanny and Hooks, I think, at the time. But I remember one stoppage in particular, I probably ended up getting the ball, but was tackled straight away by Swanny, and she brought me to the ground carefully, as she would, and just
she
held
cares
me.
for the other team.
Yeah, she cares.
She cares lots.
I think she just held me there for a while, but I couldn't breathe. My head was stuck in the grass, and I was like, oh, my head. And then she was like,
Get off me. And
then she's like, I don't understand you. And I was, But like, yeah, I'm not very good at the smart remarks on game day, so I was like, yeah. But it is pretty hard to understand someone when they're eating grass.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, Swanny will have the last laugh anyway because they won the game at the time. So yeah,
maybe on that day. Maybe just on that day. And what do you like after a game? So if you've won, are you a big celebrator? Do you enjoy the moment or?
Yeah, really enjoyed the moment. But obviously, like the season, like it's so quick. Like you're just in game the next week. So yeah, I suppose in my career I've probably lost more games than I've won with Bulldogs, and obviously last season. So you do enjoy the moments you win. But yeah, that was hard as well. Like it was a big win for you guys that day, and you could really see how much it meant to you. So that was hard for us to see as well, the other team being so elated. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to celebrate a bit this year with a few more wins under our belt.
A good celebration.
Absolutely. And somewhere where you did celebrate a lot, it seems, from my research, every second photo on your Twitter feed while you were playing back in Ireland almost had a championship cup in it. So you've won championships with Limerick, with Tipperary, you've won Camogie championships, like...
So we're still speaking the same language.
I guess I'm just trying to work out all of the different levels of Gaelic football and how can you win so many championships in 1 year?
Yeah, it's really hard to explain, I suppose. But we have basically like our club level, which would be like my local town care, which would be similar enough to like the waffle level here, I guess. So you play that, and then if you're lucky enough to be selected for your county, which is like a load of towns in an area. So that's my Tipperary. So I play against other people that are on those different club teams, or I play with them. And when I play for Tipperary, and we play against, say, like Mayo, which Niamh and Grace, Cora, like Rachel, there's a good few Mayo girls out here. So we play against them at that level, but you can't not play for your club because that's like your grassroots, that's where everything started, and it's just an honour to play at the higher level. So you represent both. So football is kind of like 12 months a year at home, really. Bar since COVID, they've split the seasons up just to stop kind of cross-contamination between different teams, but usually they run concurrently throughout the year. So I'd always train with Tipperary, the higher level, and then at times we might get a week or so break where we go back to our clubs. But at the moment it's actually worked out a little bit better. So you play county for a few, like the summer months, and then I came out in the middle of the club season to come back out here. But that's just with COVID, it's like that. But yeah, and then Limerick was my university, which is another really cool opportunity. So get to go to uni, and then girls from all around Ireland go to different universities to study different courses. So I actually played with Grace as well for a year. She did a master's when I was doing my undergrad, so we played with each other, and then we played like against Dublin, so we played against Niamh and stuff like that. So yeah,
pay money to see that.
Yeah, it's a pretty high level, like it's pretty competitive.
So that was sort of when you're at UL, that's university competition against other universities, right?
Yeah,
okay,
but it's
cool.
pretty like high standard. They'd all be county players at different universities, but like I played with girls from Mayo, Galway. Like usually I would play against them, but then we come on one team and then play against people from other teams. So like Ash Maloney is from my hometown, plays at Tipperary, but she went to college in Dublin, so she played with Niamh, and then against me and Grace.
Yeah, right.
So what's the higher level then? Is it when you play for your county, like when you play for Tipperary, or when you play for your uni?
When you play for your county, like that's like the highest honour. That's like probably the biggest competition. But then
that's like the AFLW.
Yeah. So it's like that. But then say my county, we haven't like won in All Ireland, so we haven't reached the pinnacle. But when I went to uni, I actually played with girls who would have won All Irelands with different. So that team when I was there was really good, and that was probably a little bit of a higher standard than my county team.
Yeah.
Okay. But for some people it would be like level, but it's only for like that short period, like January to March. So it is a little bit different, like, but county would be your number one.
So with the All Ireland, that final, I've heard, I think it was Cora. Shout out to Cora. I know she's a huge listener of our podcast. She was saying that there's about 60,000 sometimes that fill a stadium to watch the women's All Ireland final. Is that?
Yeah. So it's pretty big. I suppose throughout the year, it's not as big. Like there might only be a couple of thousand at games and stuff like that. But yeah, All Ireland final day, I think we've like, I don't know if it's the European record for like attendance at female sporting events, but yeah, there's been about 60,000 at filling Croke Park. So that's like our national stadium where you want to play. Like that's when you've reached the highest playing in Croke Park. So,
So that sounds like the MCG.
yeah, it's like, yeah, pretty
What
much.
do you call it?
Croke
Park. Huge, amazing history at Croke Park. Like,
Yeah, right.
if you're a sports nerd, Croke Park, like, there's rugby history, there's like IRA and like the British history. There's like so much going on at Croke
Yeah.
Park. Hugely historic ground. Like, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
yeah.
and justified. Like, you should play at Croke Park. Duh.
Yeah. So like you only play there really in the final or the semi-final. And then also at the club level, they do like an All Ireland as well, so you can play at that level. But yeah, it's kind of for the biggest days. The men might play there a bit more often. But yeah, it's kind of like when you've played there, you've reached the heights of it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
And so have you've if we step back a bit, what championships have you won? Because I feel like I've seen you holding so many trophies.
They're all just the same one, just different photo, different location.
Yeah, there's no like, so in county then it's split into tiers as well. So
Yep.
it's kind of like soccer where there's like a premiership, so like that's your Man United and your Arsenals, and then there's probably a division below that. I don't know who's in it, but they're still like professional soccer players and they play at the highest level, but their team might just be in the second tier.
The second division, yep.
Yeah, so with ladies football, there's 3 divisions. So I would have won the intermediate with Tipperary, so the second division, twice. So 2017 we won, got up to senior, relegated back down, 2019 back up. So we're kind of a bit of that yo-yo team going up and down, but we're good enough to be at senior. Hoping that hopefully we could win in All Ireland at that level. But yeah, unfortunately, just with results and stuff, we end up going back down at times. So there's like 13 teams in the top competition. But yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So do you celebrate the intermediate wins? You celebrate that as like a championship? Like you
Yeah,
you
the
count
first
that as
one would. I was like, we were delighted.
I didn't want to offend you and be like, really? You count that?
The first one was like unbelievable, like winning,
Yeah.
and then that was like our step to senior. But then the second one was like, we were just like so. Like
Because you'd already
disappointed
been brought back to
Yeah, we were so
intermediate.
disappointed
Yeah,
to be
I
brought
can
back
see that.
down. That was just a stepping stone to get back up. So while it was like we were happy on the day, it wasn't really like, it wouldn't be my favourite sporting moment. Probably 2017 would be in Gaelic, but like 2019 was more just to get the team back up, and we've remained up there. But like me, there's a team that I chatted to you about that were in that second division, and we always beat them, and they actually only won that second division last year, and they went all the way on this year and won the actual All Ireland.
Yeah, right.
And they're like that underdog team that I was
Yeah, I remember
trying
that.
to, yeah,
I think-
which is pretty cool.
All you guys need is some Australian imports, I think.
Yeah, you should come over in the off season.
Yeah, what do you think if you took AFLW players into Gaelic, what strengths would they bring to the Gaelic game? Because I feel like the strengths you guys bring is, you know, speed, agility, obviously,
The
like
gags.
heaps of gags, and just like the skills, obviously, like Grace kicks on her left and her right, can snap on her left and her right, like with ease. What do you think would be the strengths of an AFLW player coming into Gaelic?
If there are any.
Yeah.
Not-
Don't feel like you have to be polite.
I think definitely like the physicality and just like the athletic development over here. Like even looking at someone like Bella and Bose, like they're so young, but like they show that they work hard in the gym, and that can transfer onto the field. Whereas I do feel like a lot of the 18-year-olds that come into our system at home, they're not as developed in that sense. And it's probably because we have to do like gym sessions and things like that by ourselves, and because then the club and county run concurrently, there's often, you know, you want to be fresh for a game at the weekend, you mightn't do too much gym if you don't have education around like the benefits of it and stuff. So I feel like, yeah, the athletic development and the physicality of you girls is probably a little bit more than at home. And then obviously, like, I don't know, you probably just be unpredictable the same way like Niamh and Grace are for you guys, you know, like the way they play on and stuff. There'll probably be things like that and like the aerial like possessions, like marking and stuff. Because like we don't have
Paz knows all about that.
Yeah. Like we don't have to mark it at home, so that's like you still work on it, but we don't like work on marking as a actual skill.
Is it play on when you mark?
Yeah. In the
yeah.
men's, they've kind of brought in a rule where you can mark it and put your hand up to take a shot at goal, but yeah, a lot of people don't like that because they think it's turned into AFL a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Gross. Who wants to play AFL?
And tell us, last year you lived with the Kellys and this year you're living with Belinda Smith. How's life with Belinda Smith? What are the highlights?
Actually, I have some feedback. She's a bit salty that you didn't choose her as the best cook.
That was me, yeah.
Who was she?
I
She
definitely
was against
chose
you,
her.
wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
does make the packet ramen, but
That's why I chose you over her, because
Other than that,
she'd
though,
been going on the
she is
packet ramen.
pretty good.
Did you not hear me saying that she was making pasta from scratch?
Yeah,
I was
I
trying
know.
to, and
Yeah.
now I'm just thrown in the bad books for the rest of you.
So yeah, I just have to throw that out there that she's a better cook.
So
Yeah.
the cooking's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooking's good. We're like ships at the night, really, just passing each other by. So yeah, I haven't seen her since yesterday because I wasn't awake when she was going to work this morning, and yeah, I'll see her at training now. But no, it's good. Like, we have that equal balance of hanging out when we want to hang out with each other, and then she has a good circle of friends away from footy as well. So it's good to have that balance. And she's, very outspoken that if she didn't want to hang out with me, she'd tell me. So we have that
Happens all
good
the time.
relationship. Yeah. Which is
definitely-
better than inviting her somewhere and she's coming and not wanting to be there. So
That's true.
You definitely know where you stand.
Yeah.
So no, it's been pretty easy. And then for some of the year as well, like academic year, her brother's girlfriend Georgie is up studying veterinary down up from Pingrup, so where Bee's farm is. So there, I have a third housemate as well.
Shout out
sometimes.
to Georgie.
Yeah. So
Probably also going to be
she
listening
breaks
in.
up our fights. Me and Bee. We never fight.
And do you have plans to go down to the farm or not really?
Not really. I suppose Bee's family's coming up to Perth for Christmas Day, so I'm going to have an Aussie lunch with them, some seafood and stuff, which will be very different to our turkey, ham and roast potatoes at home. But then I think,
Roast potatoes.
You guys suck.
I think Bee's heading down to the farm potentially, but I'm kind of just wanting to chill Christmas, hang out in Perth, maybe at the beaches and stuff, just with round one coming up. Don't want to go outside my routine too much, which is doing nothing much.
Make sure you stick to that routine.
Yeah.
That sounds like good prep.
Yeah.
And what about last season you lived with the Kellys? That would have been like a bit of a different household, I guess.
Well, it would have just been like being at home.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Like, it was nice to be like in the sitting room in the evenings and just like you could literally be in Tipperary or Mayo. Like, it just felt like we were at home. And
They could talk as fast as they wanted to.
I've been told I have the easier accent to understand
Definitely.
than even Grace. But that was great. Just even we have the same experiences and we could chat, like, if we don't understand something in footy or like how it translates back to Gaelic and stuff like that. So that was really nice. And they're just super nice, nearly too nice to live with. People are always asking me about different fights they've had, but to be honest, they don't fight, and if they have, they've kept it very quiet, so I haven't heard.
Yeah, they're pretty much like the royal family in my eyes.
But so back in Ireland, you guys are in, I can't say it properly. Shut up, all right. But back in your home place, you guys are in, obviously you live a decent distance away from one another. So what's their hometown?
From Mayo. Bahola.
yeah.
There's only one pub in Bahola.
Bahola, and yours is
Care in Tipperary.
Karen.
And sorry, Colm, where are you from?
But so then, okay.
I'm actually from just down the road. No.
My question is, how far away are they from each other?
So I'm like south and they're west coast, so potentially like about 4 hours, which in Australian terms is not very far, but in Irish terms that's like quite far. It's like, yeah.
Well, it seems like it must be quite far, because it seems like in their hometown there's this, like when they go to like a formal event they'd wear normal shoes, whereas when you go you seem to wear kitten heels every event. So is that just that time difference or just different fashion? I don't know what happened there.
That was one time that
So tell us about the kitten heels. Why'd you have to wear them?
to be honest, I was in a brace and I was so stressed trying to find dresses for all the like pest and fairs and all that. So found a dress, but then it was the shoes then was the issue, because people were like, try do like the white Puma runners. I think Erin Phillips did it, and I was like, no, that's Erin Phillips. She was probably sponsored and got like a good bit of money to wear them. I was like, I'm not Erin Phillips, so I can't pull off the runners. So yeah, I was going to wear flats, and then like the dress just needed a bit of height. So yeah, I just had to go with the kitten heels because I could still walk in them with having a brace on my knee. So yeah, I thought they were pretty nice, but I'm still not living it down.
Maybe not for a little while.
I'm just not really too sure what kitten heels are.
It's like, you know, when you see 3-year-olds and they're dressing up as like a Barbie and they wear those little tiny heel flat shoes.
Okay, I gotcha.
They looked great. They really did. I just love any opportunity to take the mickey out of you, mate.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's
funny. And actually, she touched on like Erin Phillips and how she might have got a good bit of money. You don't mind a bit of a sort of side hustle yourself. So I thought maybe we'd see you in here in a Gym Plus Coffee shirt. But they do make pretty good stuff, don't they?
Yeah, if I'm not in my West Coast gear, I'm probably in something Gym Plus Coffee. But no, yeah, it's a great company. It's kind of like the likes of like Lululemon and stuff like that, I suppose. That kind of...
Okay.
Well,
Drop
yeah.
the Lulu.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to like compare it to something that you'd have over here.
That's helpful for me.
Yeah.
That's helpful information.
It's super helpful.
But yeah, no. I'm an ambassador for them and I'm delighted to be. They do a lot for like female sport in Ireland. And even actually pretty cool last year, I suppose, with COVID as well, we didn't have sport for a while the AFLW competition was on. So they sponsored for our like TG Cahir, which is our kind of national Irish broadcaster, to show games weekly of the AFLW competition last season. So that was pretty cool. And they do amazing things like that. And they recently got Kelly Harrington on board, who you guys mightn't know, but she won an Olympic gold in boxing this year. So yeah, they're pretty good at like promoting female sports and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm delighted to be involved with them.
Yeah, that's good.
They'll be
Shout out to
delighted with
Gym
this
Plus
plug.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah, I might get into it. Anyway, that would have pleased Margaret. She would have been thrilled about watching a bit more Aish McCarthy on TV. That would have been good. Now, Aish Mac, another question I did have for you is around goal kicking celebrations. So, you know, you've had a big moment, you've kicked the goal, how good. And I think probably like you're pretty good at football, but it's probably just an RFI for you is some goal celebrations. So do you have anything planned for when you kick your first goal for West Coast?
No, I don't. I kind of forget because in Gaelic, when you score, the goalie on the opposition team kicks it out straight away. So it'd be like what?
There's no time for it.
No, it'd be like us celebrating while the other team have a kick in.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think a few of you guys did last year when Jansy's bun. Remember Jansy's bun touched like Neve's goal or something?
Yeah.
And then everyone was celebrating.
Yeah.
And it was like a
the
kick
ball
in.
kicked in. Yeah.
So it'd
I
be a bit
remember
like
that.
if something like that.
Well, I mean, you could wait like, 10 minutes and then just burst out in celebration. Some people, who was that on? Was that you, Corm? That's how you like to celebrate, mate?
It's called the nothing everything. I think that's what I've called it
0 to
now.
100. So try that one out because then you can wait 10 minutes, see whether there's going to be a kick in or not, and then celebrate.
Wait till all the cameras are on you. Make sure they don't go to ad break and you get your big celebration in. There you go.
Oh, too good.
I think Guac actually did a pretty big celebration in the Interclub at the weekend. She was by herself running back to the backs and like around this middle of the field she just lets out a big like celebration and people thought she was being sarcastic, but apparently that's what she does in games. By herself, just lets out a big celebration in the middle of the field as she runs back to defence.
I've never been more excited to rewatch the training footage.
Well, I want the behind
I think
the
it
goals.
was when our team scored the first goal or something.
Oh,
Because we hadn't scored much.
kidding.
was this 2 weeks?
This was Saturday.
Just been,
Saturday.
right, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, well, when
She
all
probably
the
does it every week. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never heard it before last week, and it was one of those things that did shock me where I was like, hang on, is she calling out for something else? Because it surely can't be related to the goal that we've just kicked. And then I was like, oh no, I think that is actually what she is celebrating. But it was a tough day for the Blues.
Bizarre nonetheless.
Bizarre nonetheless.
How many people are you sponsored by?
What do you mean?
Like you've got a few you're an ambassador for a few things, aren't you?
No, not really. Just Gym Plus Coffee.
And anything else?
There was like a nutrition brand in Ireland that I got like vitamins and stuff like that from.
Oh, vitamins.
Vitamins.
Is that what you call them? Vitamins?
Oh, no, I've always called them vitamins.
That's because you're from Ireland.
But other than that, no, I don't have any.
But what about? Oh no, sorry. It's your new. You've got the new Physio Instagram as well, don't you?
Oh yeah. Well, I suppose out here I can't work as a physio, so I have a lot of spare time. So I said, like, just to keep up that side of my career, that I'd set up a little Instagram account and just keep myself accountable to like putting out information and learning new things myself. And yeah, I did a few Pilates courses, so potentially go down the line and maybe doing like online Pilates classes or something like that.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I need to chat to Leanna and all that about like my plans and how maybe I could do it. But yeah, I don't know. While I've a lot of spare time here, I just said it'd be something to do.
And so now that the Kellys have got their PT online, do you send people there, make them work out and hope that they have poor techniques and they come to you afterwards onto your online physio? Is that what's going on right now?
Oh yeah, that was a great idea actually.
Once you fix them, send them back to that. It's it's like reoccurring. Yeah.
Circle.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The three Irish just working together. I like it.
That is good. We get some pretty good results when the three Irish work together, so I'm not mad about it.
And you just said before, so you can't work here as a physio because of your visa, isn't it?
Yeah, visa, and then there's also my registration and my registration as a physio. So I could do that, but that's another process as well. And like I'm not obviously going to go through that process. It costs a bit of money as well, and then to not be able to work because of my visa.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of a two-way like thing. But yeah, I kind of, when I get out here in the summer, I kind of do like, having that option to like have my downtime.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you go back to Ireland 4 months a year, that's way too much work. Make sure you have that downtime when you come back out here, okay?
Oh yeah. There's been a few digs to kind of stay out now in the off season. So I might be persuaded to potentially not go home.
No, but I actually was leading into a question and I've gone off script so you guys can bring it back. It's your podcast, Paz. But what is a day in the life? Like, what do you do during the day? Because there's some days, like I'm kind of similar. There's some days I do nothing, rock up to training, fresh as a daisy, really ready to seize the day at 5:30 in the afternoon. But there's other times that I lay there and I've had a massive day and I go, Charlie, what did you do today? And she's like, oh, not much. But that's you every day.
Pretty much, yeah. And then like I have to see like I'm in a privileged position as like, especially I see girls rocking into work or rocking in here after work, and they are wrecked and that. So
such a polite answer.
Yeah. But yeah, my day today, for example, was I got up and had to walk Murphy because.
What time though? What time did you get up?
Around 9.
Okay. Continue on this heavy day you've had.
I walked Murphy because Belinda's in that position where she's coming here straight after work, so the poor dog will not get walked unless I do it. So we went for a little stroll, got back, just made some breakfast. And
what was on the menu this morning?
Just had like eggs, toast, a bit of bacon.
Oh, yeah. Horrible.
Yeah.
Would rather be at work.
Then I went to a cafe and was like doing a little bit of physio, like research stuff. Just trying to fill my day really. And then I went home and just made some lunch then before I came in here, and that was pretty much it. So
what was your lunch?
Just some mince with some potatoes. I usually have rice, but there was potatoes there today.
That's too good.
I feel like I've been stitched up. I've said potatoes way too much.
Potatoes.
We're going to say it some more, don't worry.
So hopefully I train well because all I've been doing is preparing for training.
Potato power. How good.
I like it.
It sounds like a pretty good day.
But I suppose, the good thing is that we've got the other two, the Kellys that are here as well. And then we've got other girls. I know that the Adelaide girls work bits and pieces and stuff, but there are other girls around that are not working too much either. So there's people to hang out with and do different things with as well.
Yeah, I mean, like yourself, you work at the club here. What is it, 2 half days you do?
Mate, I'm here all the time. All the time. You guys just don't see behind the scenes. I'm working hard.
Mate, you went to Christmas Island once and you reckon you work every day. Just spare me. But Ash, I guess the good thing for you is like you get to take advantage of almost being a full-time athlete. Do you reckon when that's on the horizon for probably more of the competition, we'll be in a pretty good space?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's brilliant. Like I can obviously focus on my recovery, preparing for training. I can come in early, do touch and stuff like that. So like I do feel like that helps my game. Probably the first year I came out for when I played with Bulldogs, I found probably being completely focused just on football is actually tough. Which I do think when we transition into that game, people might actually struggle a small bit in that sense because you don't have that outlet. Now, it was probably a little bit different for me as well. Like my teammates were my friends, so like the only kind of circle I had was football when I was in Melbourne. But yeah, it probably is nice sometimes if you don't train well that you can head to work the next day and no one's really talking about footy and stuff. Whereas in my life, it's like I wake up the next day and all I'm thinking about is the training the night before. So I think I've got used to that and I've had to work on it, and I've definitely like even working with Jan and stuff, just having that balance. And that's probably why I started like the physio page and stuff like that. So I just have other things to think about. And then it is nice to have the other girls. So I head off, like do stuff in Perth, like see the beaches, and headed down your way, Swanny, there last week to Mandurah and saw the Christmas lights and stuff like that. So yeah, being able to do things like that with the other girls that don't have too much going on is really nice too. But I think being a full-time athlete would be brilliant, and I think people are going in that direction. But yeah, it can be tough, the kind of more mental side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important point, I think, and probably something that isn't discussed as much. I think it's probably in the coming years, I reckon we'll find that sort of parity between AFLW and AFLM is how important the balance is to actually, keeping yourself refreshed to train and to have a life outside of footy, because you just can't hear it enough from the AFLM program, you know, how important it is that they're studying, or, you know, now that they're a dad and they have other responsibilities outside of themselves and their football. And I think often it leads to much better results on field for them. Yeah. So it's probably going to be quite an interesting space in the future.
I agree, but then I also wonder how much, like, because of our scheduled timing and how we train at night time, a lot of the times if you are someone with a lot of free time, like yourself, Paz, having that the whole day free and then having to go to training and prepare from, say, 3:34 for a night training session, finish at 9. I would like, obviously, once we do transition to full-time, that will be flipped. And I think that will allow a lot more life balance, because there's so many things that I find, like on a day off, I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I've got training tonight. I can't do that. Whereas if we had training, so for example, today, for context, I'm working tonight. So I've trained this morning. But by lunchtime, like I'd trained and I'd done some skills. I'd done my recovery, my ice bath, my vision, everything by lunchtime. If this was a normal day, like in a workplace, which is football, you've got the rest of the day, or even if you're around the club until 3, you've still kind of got the rest of the day, and that's your own. Whereas now you're so heavily like guided with what you can and can't really do, if that makes sense.
I also think though that I'm agreeing with you here, is that you spend the time where your outside of football friends and family have got time to spend with you. You spend that time at training.
Yeah.
So I feel like we work opposite to the rest of our 100%. Connections and in family and friends and stuff, which is tough.
Yeah, like if this is a day at work, footy training, sort of what the AFLM program is like, you may be home by 3:30, head down to Scarborough for the sunset, you have like dinner on the foreshore with your family. Like you've got such a balance, whereas we sort of, it's a struggle. Even if you do have all the time in the world, it's a real struggle to find that balance.
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, like I would prefer to train mornings. That would be my absolute preference.
100%.
I think I sleep better when we train in the mornings. I think you compromise a lot of your sleep when you train late in the evenings, because it's not just the fact that you're running around between 5:45 and 8 o'clock or 7:30 or whatever it might be. It's the fact that after you've finished running around, your body's actually still completing a whole bunch of different processes before you need to get to sleep. And if science suggests you should be asleep by 10 p.m, your body doesn't actually have time to recover from training, complete an ice bath, digest your dinner and start the recovery process for the next day.
Absolutely.
And I often think it would be interesting if we flipped our schedule and said, okay, cool, like we are in the club at 6 in the morning and our meeting's at 6:30, and we train and we knock off at 11 in the morning. Like we do sort of a Saturday situation on a Tuesday and a Thursday in the mornings. how good that would be.
I reckon that will be the next step in the transition to full time. Like that will be the next,
Because I think more like, and obviously, you know, it's not just us that need to be available. It's our physios, it's our coaches, it's the other staff around us. But I think Western Australia particularly has such a morning culture of doing things. Like people are up at, like Swanny, you get up at you wake up with the sun, which at the moment is, 4:45. That's not a 9 a.m. sleep in, and that's a very different time schedule. But I think that's on the horizon. Will be that transition.
Exciting times. I can't wait to be retired and it comes in.
I can't wait to be telling the stories of, when I was a footballer, we had to train in the evenings and I hated it because I was like, then I couldn't sleep till midnight, and then I'd be back at work at my desk going, sorry to everyone who works around me and just sees me at my desk going,
and you've got to do it all again tonight.
Anyway, see you tomorrow.
Anyway, Nick Liv, I hope you're listening.
Anyway, Nick Liv, thanks for that. Bye.
Well, I actually do have to go. So I'm just going to
here anyway.
Leave you with rapid fire.
Yeah, we'll just
I got a
do this
massage.
rapid fire. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, well
Have fun,
done.
everybody.
Good timing.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
And the listeners, I'm back.
All right, Paz. Well, we've reached probably my favourite part of the podcast, or one of my top 18 parts of the podcast,
there's a lot of favourite
where
parts.
we ask our favourite guest to pick between two players. And this week, Ash, we'll get you to choose between the two Kellys, so between Neve and Grace.
God.
So we've got a couple questions for you. Do you want to do a warm-up to run Ash through it?
I
or?
do often like to warm people up. So it's rapid fire like you hear on the radio.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you a couple now, and this is just practice. This isn't about people. This is just a choice. So I'll just give you two options and you give me which your favourite is.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a warm-up. Okay. Pasta or soup?
Pasta.
That's bizarre.
That's not even a comparison.
Who's picking soup?
I don't know what just happened. So sorry. Let's go again. AFL or Gaelic?
Oh, that's mean.
Okay, let's say it's.
I'll say Gaelic because
good
I grew
one.
up playing.
Yeah, for
okay.
Margaret. Margaret also likes that answer.
Sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
that,
nice.
That was good.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
warm
is
up.
primed, perfect,
She's ready to go.
activated.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, you go first.
Okay. So this is out of Grace and Neve. So
Okay.
I ask you the question, you just say one of their names, depending what you think. Okay. All right. Who makes them late?
I'll say Grace. Sorry, Grace.
So for the listeners' context, the Kellys are always late to everything.
Everything.
Except team meetings. Team meetings are always on time.
Yeah.
Everything else, as soon as there's not an actual footballer schedule attached to it,
Late.
they're not on time. All right, second question for you. So between Grace and Neve, who would be better viewing on Big Brother?
Ooh. I feel like Neve. Yeah.
All right. Who's messier?
They're really tidy. I feel.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, kind of. Our apartment was pretty tidy last year.
For some reason, I thought they'd be messy.
I
don't
thought
know
they'd be
why.
messy too, but I have no basis to
And I
have that
also
opinion.
thought Grace would be messier.
Yeah, I'd say
don't know
maybe
why.
Grace a little bit. Like, their rooms might be a little bit messy, but it'd just be a bit of clothes around the place, which is I think pretty normal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You're a pretty good roommate. You're a pretty
I
good
feel
roommate.
like this
She's
is pretty
so
savage.
polite.
Yeah, this is mean.
All right. Well, this one's not really mean. This one's just funny. Who's a better singer?
I actually don't know. Neve sung last year a few times.
I'm putting her down.
But they both can play the piano.
Oh.
Grace is pretty good at the piano. Were you
Yeah,
dancing
she's a
on
weapon.
these?
She's a weapon on
I
the
got
piano.
told about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember if she sang as well. Like,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think she was. But yeah, maybe Grace is more musical actually. To be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah, and sort of the way I heard it was like people were like playing people were playing chopsticks, and then they're like, "Oh, does anyone else play?" And then like Grace goes, "Oh, I play a little bit," and then rocked up and basically played Beethoven's Fifth, and everyone was like, "What? That's pretty good. You should
Yeah.
tell us how good you are because you're pretty good."
All right. Who eats more potatoes?
Me.
Good.
They kind of eat the same thing, to be honest. Like, I feel like this is hard because they prep meals together. They eat the same thing.
They're sisters, but they act like they're twins.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. All right, who wears more green?
Who wears more green?
These are super Irish last two questions, aren't they?
Who wears more green? Oh, I don't even know. That's not even they're both Mayo jerseys are green and red, so.
But what about Tip? What colours Tip wear? Oh no,
West
you're blue.
Coast colours.
Yeah, blue and yellow, aren't you? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Surely this one.
Okay.
Who's got bigger feet?
Grace.
Okay.
She's taller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, this one's good.
No. What is it?
Okay, we're going to preface it with saying you can not answer this.
No,
one.
no.
Okay, all right. You have to answer
You
this
have
one.
to answer.
All right, whose boyfriend do you like more?
Oh, I actually haven't met them.
Oh,
Yeah.
What?
I haven't met Andy or Dara, so I don't know.
they're both pretty terrific.
Yeah,
I
they're
feel
both
like
great.
they're both versions of each other, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like Andy is a version of Grace, and then Dara is a version of Neve. I feel like they're
Yeah,
well matched.
probably.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. That's good insight anyway.
That
Yeah,
is.
even though I've never met them. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We'll allow that then. Who's smarter?
Like, they both study the same thing. They're both primary school teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, what
And
about
they
like
both did the PT course, and they both, yeah.
what about like who
They're literally the
says
same people.
Who says more dumb stuff?
yeah who
though?
says dumb stuff more often?
Maybe Grace. Yeah,
Who's more gullible?
Grace. I feel like Grace is getting roasted here.
And then
Poor
Wait,
Grace.
but we're splitting hairs. Like you've said,
Yeah.
they're so similar in so many of
Yeah.
these aspects. Maybe separate of the potatoes, but
who's higher maintenance?
Higher maintenance. See, they're so polite. Like, I feel like I'm being too polite here as well, but they're so polite that they don't really need too much maintenance.
yeah, they are pretty polite.
Yeah.
They are pretty polite.
I think, is it just an Irish thing to be overly polite until you've got a beer in your hand and then you just turn into a different person? I feel like that's classic, eh? There are all these lovely little elves going around.
They're not elves.
And then as soon as they have
How
a
do you
drink
say
in hand-
leprechaun, not elves?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Wait, elves are in the North Pole. They're Santa's
pretty-
mates.
It's cold. It's cold in Ireland. Ireland.
One last one, Ash. Well, so you've said you're going to have an Australian Christmas. What would you do at home? Like, what would your Christmas be typically? Say West Coast doesn't exist, AFLW, nothing. What would you be doing at home at Christmas?
Yeah, well, our build up to Christmas is pretty good. It's quite cold, so like, you know, home the evenings, the fire is lit. And then, yeah, like even sometimes it can snow. So like, yeah, White Christmas is very different here too. But
Yeah, back here, just Paris is lit.
Good.
But yeah, Christmas Day is usually like head to mass potentially. Then maybe go to like my parents' friend's house, might have a couple of drinks and stuff while the ham and the turkey are cooking in the oven. And then usually we have that like my grandparents or like one side of my family might come down. So like my dad's side one year or my mum's side the next year and that. And just, yeah, kind of just eat until you're in a food coma and play some games and, yeah, chat around, just spend time with the family. Yeah, but it's a bit different. Like here, I feel like going to go to the beach in the morning. We'll have like a lunch, probably be seafood, I think B said, which would be different. But yeah, I think it's the same kind of concept, spending time with friends and family and that. But yeah, it'll be quite different here.
And is the Gaelic, where are we at with the Gaelic calendar during Christmas time? So obviously we're like right at the end of pre-season for our Christmas time here, but what would it be like during Gaelic?
Yeah, so like the higher level, the county finished in September and the club level ran there. So another thing to add, but like provincial championships finished this weekend actually. So they'll have a break for the Christmas and then they'll be back up and running for like the All Ireland series. There'll only be potentially like around 4 or 5 teams left come after Christmas, and then uni is running at the minute as well, but obviously they'll have time off for Christmas too. So usually you're able to like, yeah, enjoy Christmas. Often it's the off season as well, like if you're not in uni or your club hasn't got that far. So yeah, it's pretty, yeah, you winter well when you're at home.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, hey?
That is good. I also think the Christmas meal thing, it sounds like I feel like people in Australia all do very different depending on your family and stuff, where it sounds like it's quite traditional back home for you where everyone's sort of having the same thing. Whereas here, I guess some people do lots of seafood, other people do the traditional ham and all that sort of stuff. And like even though it's hot weather, we still do that cold weather sort of food. So I think it's a bit different. Like it depends what family you go to, sort of thing, which is kind of cool.
Are you a seafood Christmas or are you a?
We always have fish. But it's not like we go out and get cray and all that sort of stuff. We don't just have like a seafood smorgasbord. We have all the ham and like casseroles and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, in my family, and obviously being from Sydney, I won't get over there, but my grandparents were British, and so we've got a huge history. So they'll have like pretty traditional food, and then there's like a modern flavour with all the grandkids now. So there's like a salad wars. But my auntie still makes the best Christmas pudding, and that's the part I reckon of Christmas that I'll miss the most. So obviously, like, it's been a different couple of years with COVID as well, because I think Christmas takes on a whole new meaning when you spend it not with your family that you've grown up spending it with. So I think it ends up being quite a different experience. And I don't know if you'd share the same opinion, but I guess you do. It's the same theory. You know, you're celebrating time with people that you're close to and eating and drinking, but it's just a different vibe. Yeah, definitely.
I suppose the build up here is very different as well. Like at home, there's all like the Christmas lights. It's like a lot darker, like the Christmas carols and stuff. And I think just the cold weather and everything like ties into that. Whereas here, I think there's just not that much of a build up. So that's why I'm kind of not that homesick leading up into it. I think on the day I'll obviously miss being at home with my family and that, but leading up to it, I'm pretty chill that I'll be fine over the Christmas holidays being here in Perth. But yeah, as well, like the Adelaide girls, it's their first Christmas as well, not getting to go home. So I think they're going doing a trip down your way, Paz, to keep busy and just for it to be different. Because I think they're afraid that if they stayed in Perth, it would be quite similar to Adelaide and that they'd kind of trigger a bit of homesickness. Whereas I guess for me and even Grace, being in Australia is so different that it's kind of exciting as well. To experience different culture too. Like even a few years ago, I got to go up the East Coast, like the Whit Sundays and that, which is cool. So like, you know, I wouldn't have got that opportunity only for staying in Australia for the Christmas break, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really sick. That's really cool.
All right, well, perfect. Thank you for coming on, Aish Mac. It's been an absolute pleasure. And glad we got to hear all about the potatoes, and but it has been good to hear all about Gaelic in your hometown and everything like that. But we're excited to get back after the Christmas break and see you perform, mate. It's going to be good.
Thanks for having me. Privileged to get the call up, and yeah, shout out to Swanny for keeping her place.
And we'll try and keep you out of the brace, which means we'll keep you out of the kitten hill. So that'll be good as well.
You'll be happy with that. I'll have to get stilettos for the next night.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to Margaret.
Yeah,
thanks for listening.
I should be delighted with the shout out.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to the listeners.
Yeah,
I think this will be our last potty before
for 2021.
Yeah, for 2021. So we'll see you in 2022. Exciting times and hopefully better guests.
You had to get that one in.
Yeah.